Episode 3. Let's talk about a ballpark number. All right, take me out to the ballpark. Ballpark estimates for salary range or project fees should come up very early in the discussions that you're having with people. Why do you do that? So that you don't waste their time. If they have champagne taste on a beer budget, I want to know that quickly so I can bring a conversation to a close if my value is not a good match for their price. Too often people try to be polite, and there's no reason to tread lightly on the subject of what a project cost or what a salary range is, especially if it's the right time within the conversation. In that process of talking about a ballpark number, you also need to identify what we call deal killers. Deal killers. So deal killers are things that you have to have in order for the offer or the agreement to be met. These are non-negotiables. These things might be things like you need at least 3 weeks vacation, that you'll only do 50% travel. Maybe it's that you are discussing and setting expectations around aggressive product deadlines or payment terms. You need to identify any list of non-negotiables that you might have right now, because again, these can be deal killers. Why talk about these things as you go through the ballpark number process? Let's do a gut check. When things are humming along and before you throw out a salary range, you need to ask yourself, do you have any reservations about this discussion, about this company, about the culture, about the work that you're being asked to do? You need to ask the question, do I really want this, and is it a good fit? If you feel anything less than enthusiasm, such as dread or numbness, you need to back off continued conversations, and you need to do it politely. I, again, was talking to a lady just yesterday about her situation, and she said to me, Elizabeth, I am in discussions with this company that I genuinely feel pretty good about, but they're the only duck in the pond right now, and I'm beginning to question if it's a really good fit or just my only option. Is this you? She had not gone to the trouble of doing a perfect job description, and she had not practiced the story of you, as this was our first conversation. Had she done the story of you and had she written her perfect job description, this would have given her a great comparative to the position she's looking at, and I think it would have answered the question, is this the only duck on the pond? So let's assume you've gone through this process, there are no reservations. Then you need to ask about ballpark salary range and make sure that their definition of price aligns with their expectation of your value. Let's talk about getting in the ballpark. You accomplish a ballpark salary range or project fee by positioning the value or fee structure against the required outcomes associated with the role or the project. You need to ask the question, does this role or project pay within the ballpark of X, or what is your budget range for the work proposed? These are ways in which you can get into the ballpark discussion. A general formula, if you are a white-collar worker, is that you need to make $1 million in contribution to offset the salary and benefit package associated with a $125,000 average salary. So let's say you're an hourly worker and you're wanting to figure out how to position your value. How do you do that? Well, you need to ask the person that you're interviewing with, who probably will be your boss, what type of value do you need to add in order to migrate to a salaried position? If you're going to go for a salaried position sometime in your future, what type of value do you need to add to your boss or to your team or to the division that you work for in order to be considered for that salaried position? In getting in the ballpark, other approaches might include, if they tell you no, that we can't quite reach that salary range, another option for you might be to ask the question, when I hit a certain percentage of my revenue or production goal, while you might not have the money today, might I have it then? Another way you could position the question is, can you pay retroactively when I hit this revenue goal or deliver this value point? What's the best way for us to structure compensation so that while you might not have the money today, we might be able to recover that money in the future? So again, what if they can't meet your salary range? Well, if the role or the project isn't a match for your qualifications, you probably need to politely draw the conversation to a close. Should the match, though, be exceptional, you might want to get creative in how they can hire or engage you. How do you do this? Well, you may ask the question, if I add more measurable value to the position, can you be more flexible with your salary range? Or can you create a whole new position? If they're a smaller firm, maybe they can pay you in a creative combination of cash, equity, or options. Maybe through a performance bonus, through commissions or revenue that you bring to the table. Maybe your value is in delivering strategic partners that open new market or opportunities for them. All of these things equate to value that you can deliver and that you can negotiate from. Let's talk for a moment about what you're going to see in an employment package or a proposal that you would put together to ask for opportunity. In an employment package, they might be including things like vacation, education or ongoing certification incentives, an exit strategy if you leave, car or travel benefits, health benefits, signing or performance bonuses. If, on the other hand, you are acting like an entrepreneur and you are creating a proposal for someone, asking for the opportunity in a red qualification process, you might be including sections such as a situational assessment. This is an overview of what the client has told you they need. Then you might follow it with a scope of work. This is specific problem to be solved or the project to be done. You might include also a proposed term for delivery, and this is a production timeline. You also might include payment terms, which include things like material or travel costs. Then you might provide a purchase order or a signature of authorization, your references, or further qualifications. So either of these things might be a byproduct of the negotiations process. Let's stop for a moment and ask the question, is the offer fair? Often people ask this question, is the offer fair? Rather than asking, is it fair? A better question we would suggest is, how does it make you feel? How does the offer make you feel? Well, why are we asking you how it makes you feel? Well, value is extremely relative. What might be a good fit for someone else is unfair to another. Generic salary surveys are vague at best. The real reason and issue you need to focus on salary and package is because it's got to align against the value that you plan to deliver. And you need to ask yourself as you evaluate an offer, how do you feel about this offer? If you feel good about it in your gut, it's time to actually use closing strategies to get this thing done. Let's close the deal. So how do you close? You need to clearly express interest. You need to clearly ask for the opportunity and say that you feel like this is a fit, that you can deliver the value that they ask for, and that you're confident you can accomplish what they've asked you to do. You want to ask them to put together an offer, or you need to put together a proposal. Since you've talked about ballpark, you've essentially taken the issue of can they afford it off the table, and now you're positioning yourself as the number one candidate. You need to ask the question, is there any reason today that you won't hire me? You also need to ask the question, considering your top two candidates, what will make you choose me over the other candidate? Those are two questions you can ask to close. Another thing you can do is offer to do what's called a war room planning session. Again, this is a planning session that lays out the priorities for onboarding and the parameters for a 30, 60, 90-day plan within the role that you might be assuming within the organization. In the war room planning session, the assumption is it's not another interview, but rather a collaboration to make sure that this is a fit. Potential outcomes of a strategy session. Well, there's some risk in having a strategy session, and we're going to tell you this up front. The upside of a strategy session is that everyone confirms we're on the same page. Other things that might come out, though, of a strategy session would include that maybe they decide they need to slow down, as maybe there's issues that they were not aware of. They also could say, we didn't think about this, or we need to consider that. That might slow down the process, but it also enables you to make sure that these people really understand what it is that your plan calls for and how it is that you plan to execute that plan. Another potential result is that maybe you couldn't be farther apart, but the benefit of that is that you know before you onboard, as opposed to when you get in position and then discover that it's not really a match. Nobody wants buyer's remorse. The value of a war room session is to clarify expectations so that you're prepared for performance reviews. And again, it positions you to actually onboard if it is a good match.